The Alien Academy was famous for discipline, fear, and order. Every species in the Galactic Union sent their young here to learn control, how to suppress instincts, how to survive among weaker minds. Fear was used as a teacher. Today, fear had claws. The glass doors hissed open, and 2 guards entered carrying a crate that shook with low growls. The air turned heavy. Every student leaned back in their seats. The instructor, a tall, blue-skinned Dravnai, announced with a proud grin, "Class, today you will meet a predator from the Death Worlds." Even the word Death World made half the class whisper. Inside that crate was something born to hunt. The bars rattled and golden eyes flashed from the shadows. The cub was small but built like a storm, short fur streaked with dark stripes, tail twitching with tension. Its voice was not a growl, it was a promise. The students stared. Except one, a human sat near the middle row, short-haired, calm, dressed in standard gray uniform. His name was Liam. He didn't flinch, didn't even move when the creature's eyes locked on him. The instructor laughed. "Humans are fearless, they say. Let's test that." The guards released the cub. It leapt forward with a snarl that made every alien recoil. Desks scraped, chairs fell. The cub landed on the floor, muscles coiled, nostrils flaring. Its eyes searched for weakness. And then it saw Liam. It crouched low, ready to pounce. The room froze. Someone whispered, "He'll die," but Liam just exhaled. Slowly, he knelt down and stretched out a hand. The instructor barked, "Human! Step back!" He didn't. The cub charged. The sound filled the hall, a blur of claws and teeth, and then silence. Every student expected blood. Instead, they heard a strange rumble, not a growl, a purr. The predator cub was sitting in Liam's lap, eyes half closed, rubbing its head against his arm. Its tail flicked lazily. Liam smiled a little, scratching behind its ear. The instructor stood speechless. The other students looked like statues. Liam whispered something no one caught. But the cub reacted, relaxed completely, pressing against him as if it had finally found warmth in this cold, metallic place. For the rest of the class, the creature refused to move. It hissed at anyone who came close. Even the guards didn't dare approach again. The instructor ended the session early, muttering about unexpected results. As the others left, whispers followed the human. Did he drug it? No, it was pure instinct. Humans are strange. Liam stayed seated for a while, petting the cub. When he finally stood, it followed him. The guards didn't stop it. They didn't dare. That night, word spread through the academy like wildfire. A human had tamed a predator. No, not tamed. Connected. Every alien race had its legends about creatures that could never be controlled. The cub was one of them, bred for war, for hunting, for killing. But it had chosen a human's heartbeat to rest against. Instructors reviewed security footage again and again. No tricks, no devices, just the human's voice, calm and gentle. The academy elders called an emergency meeting. They whispered in low tones about psychological dominance and empathic interference. One of them said, "If humans can do this naturally, they are far more dangerous than we imagined." But Liam didn't care about politics. He was just happy the cub had stopped growling. He named it Rook. Rook followed him everywhere now, a living shadow. The other students gave him space in hallways, some out of respect, most out of fear. But not everyone was afraid. A few envied him, especially one alien cadet named Koresh, from a warrior species known for taming beasts through pain. To him, seeing a soft-spoken human control a predator with kindness was an insult. He watched from afar, his cold eyes narrowing every time Rook purred. Soon, he promised himself, he'd prove the cub's loyalty was fake, and that was when the real trouble began, because Koresh didn't understand that what he was about to challenge wasn't the cub's instincts. It was humanity's. By morning, the academy was already buzzing. Everyone had seen the footage, the Death World predator resting in a human's arms like a domesticated pet. Some called it impossible, others called it a trick. But to most, it was terrifying in the quietest way. Liam didn't care much about the gossip. He sat at the edge of the cafeteria, Rook curled beside his feet, breathing softly. The cub had grown overnight, or maybe it only looked bigger now that it was calm. Its fur shimmered faintly under the cold lights. When it opened its golden eyes, nearby students flinched. Only Liam stayed still, slowly offering a piece of protein bread. Rook sniffed it, then ate, never breaking eye contact with him. Across the room, Koresh watched. Koresh's own species, the Kronar, believed that dominance was the only path to loyalty. They crushed rebellion through violence even in their pets. To see a human tame a predator through gentleness felt wrong. It was an insult to everything he had been taught. When the instructor entered, silence returned. "Today," she said, her voice echoing across the hall, "we resume our behavioral trials." She paused, eyes landing on Liam. "Including the new anomaly." Liam only nodded. Koresh smirked. "Let's see if your toy listens in the arena," the class murmured. Rook's ears twitched at the sound. The arena was circular, bright, and cold. Force barriers shimmered along the walls. Students stood behind observation glass while the instructor recorded data. 2 gates opened, one for Rook and Liam, and another for Koresh, who led his own beast, a scaled brute twice Rook's size. The Kronar called it Threx. Its claws screeched against the metal floor, tail slamming like a hammer. The beast's eyes were filled with madness and hunger. "Control demonstration," the instructor said. "Show your bond," Koresh grinned, cracking a whip. Threx howled, backing down in submission. "See?" Koresh shouted, looking toward the crowd. "Respect through pain." The students cheered weakly. Then it was Liam's turn. He didn't have a whip, or armor, or fear. He just crouched and whispered something only Rook could hear. The cub tilted its head, then pressed its forehead against Liam's. The air around them seemed to soften. Rook growled, not in rage, but in power. The sound rolled through the chamber like thunder. Threx stopped moving. Even Koresh blinked in confusion. The instructor's tablet flashed warnings. Rook's energy readings spiked beyond safe levels. "Human, control it!" she yelled. Liam raised a hand. "He's calm," he said softly. Rook lowered his head and sat, perfectly still. It was like watching a storm choose peace. Koresh couldn't accept it. His pride twisted inside him. He stepped closer to the barrier, shouting, "You're cheating! You used chemicals, didn't you?" "No," Liam said. "Just kindness," Koresh spat. "Kindness is weakness." Liam smiled faintly. "Then maybe weakness is what you fear?" The words hit harder than any blow. Koresh's eyes burned with rage. He turned to his beast, snapping his whip. "Threx, attack!" The entire class screamed. The instructor shouted, "Abort the test!" But it was too late. Threx leapt across the floor, crashing through its energy barrier as sparks flew. The monster lunged straight toward Liam. Rook moved like lightning. One heartbeat, Liam stood still. The next, Rook was between them, jaws open wide, teeth sinking into Threx's shoulder. The air filled with the sound of 2 predators colliding. The guards rushed to seal the gates, alarms screaming through the academy. When the dust settled, Rook stood on top of the fallen beast, chest heaving, eyes glowing with golden fire. He hadn't killed it. He had just stopped it. Liam slowly walked over, touched Rook's head, and whispered again. The cub's breathing slowed, its muscles loosened. It sat down obediently, licking the blood off its claws. The silence in the arena was absolute. Then someone whispered, "It obeyed him." Even after the fight, after the chaos, the instructors held Liam in questioning rooms for hours. They wanted to know how a human could pacify a death world creature without devices, commands, or psychic implants. Liam gave the same answer every time. "I didn't control him. I understood him." It wasn't the answer they wanted. The report spread beyond the Academy, to the Galactic Council, to species who remembered the last human wars. Some whispered that humans were returning to their ancient ways, the ones that had made them conquerors. But among the students, something different spread: admiration. That night, Koresh sat alone in the med bay, nursing wounds from his own creature. His pride burned hotter than pain. The human's calm face haunted him. The cub's eyes glowed in his dreams. He swore he would expose the truth, whatever it took. Back in the dormitories, Liam sat beside Rook, who now slept peacefully on his bunk, tail twitching softly. Outside the window, alien stars glittered over the academy towers. He sighed. "You caused trouble again, didn't you, buddy?" The cub purred, half asleep. Somewhere deep in the shadows of the academy's research division, scientists replayed the fight footage. One of them muttered, "If that's what a young human can do with a cub, imagine what an army could do with an entire pack." Another answered, voice trembling, "Let's hope they never find out." The academy never slept after what happened in the arena. Even in the quiet hours, lights glowed through the research wing, and whispers of the human bond phenomenon drifted through the corridors. Students talked, teachers debated, and the council demanded answers. Liam didn't want to be part of their theories. He only wanted Rook to stay safe. But every day, new observers followed him, scientists, instructors, even officials wearing the crest of the Union. They watched how the cub behaved, how it followed, listened, even how it breathed near him. To them, Rook was a study. To Liam, he was a friend. The summons came at dawn. A mechanical voice echoed through the dormitory. "Cadet Liam Hayes, report to Research Bay 4. Bring the specimen." Liam sighed, scratching Rook's head. "Guess we're experiments now, huh?" Rook yawned, showing tiny fangs. When he entered the lab, rows of alien researchers waited behind reinforced glass. The head scientist, a pale-skinned Varnai with too many fingers, smiled thinly. "Human, we intend to measure your connection. You will cooperate." Liam nodded carefully. "As long as Rook isn't harmed." "Of course not," the scientist lied. They led him into a large white chamber. The walls hummed with energy. Machines tracked heartbeats, neural waves, and pheromone readings. Rook padded beside him, calm but alert. The scientist's voice echoed through the speakers. "Begin the separation protocol." A glass barrier lowered between them. Rook immediately growled, tail lashing. Liam pressed his hand against the barrier. "Hey, easy, it's okay." The cub whined softly but didn't back away. "The sensors spiked," the scientists murmured. "Sympathetic reaction. Heart rate synchronization? Fascinating." Then came the second phase. The scientist gestured, and a low-frequency sound filled the chamber, meant to trigger primal aggression in predators. Rook roared, claws digging into the floor. Liam shouted, "Stop that!" The scientist ignored him. "Observe. Rage response, yet restraint. Directed awareness remains fixated on human subject." Rook's body trembled, torn between instinct and trust. His eyes glowed faintly gold again. Liam pressed both hands to the glass. "Rook, look at me." "You're fine. You're not alone." The cub's growl softened. He sat down slowly, eyes never leaving Liam. The machines recorded the impossible. His stress levels dropped despite the aggression frequency still active. One of the assistants whispered, "He overrode the conditioning." "With words." The head scientist frowned. "Increase intensity." The floor panels vibrated, and the sound grew sharper. The cub screamed, a sound that cut through every species' nerves. Liam hit the glass. "Enough! You're hurting him!" "Data first," said the scientist coldly. Something inside Liam broke. He stepped back, fists clenched, and suddenly the lights flickered. The machines shorted for a moment. Everyone froze. The scientist shouted, "What did he do?" But Liam hadn't done anything. The cub had. Rook's roar shook the entire chamber, but it wasn't anger. It was defense. The glass barrier cracked like ice. Alarms screamed as the cub slammed it again and again until the wall shattered. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Guards rushed in, but Rook ignored them, running straight to Liam and circling him protectively. His tail lashed, fur bristling. The scientist hissed into his comms, "Deactivate the field!" Now, energy barriers powered down and silence followed. Liam knelt, holding Rook close. "I told you to stop," he said softly, looking at the glass shards. "He's not your weapon." The Varnai scientist stared at them through the control room window. "No, he's something worse." He's loyal. After that, they locked Liam's records under military classification. The words empathic resonance became the new obsession of the research division. The council demanded a report explaining how an untrained human had accomplished what no psychic technology could, bonding across species with no implants, no genetic modification, and no fear. Rumors began spreading far beyond the academy walls. Soldiers whispered about the beast whisperer. Civilians said humans were hiding abilities no one had measured before. But Liam wasn't thinking about fame or research. He sat alone in his quarters, Rook asleep beside him. He whispered, "They won't stop testing, will they?" Rook's ear flicked, as if understanding. Liam stared out the window, watching the academy's starfield shimmer. "Then we'll have to show them something they can't test." Down in the lower levels, Koresh was watching the surveillance feed. His wounds had healed, but his pride had not. The footage of the shattered barrier replayed on his personal tablet. He paused the moment Rook ran to protect the human. "Loyalty," he muttered bitterly. "That's what they call it?" His eyes narrowed. "They don't see what I see. That beast is dangerous. And the human, he's worse." Koresh began his own plan. One that didn't involve permission or rules or mercy. He would expose them both. The academy corridors felt colder after the experiment. Whispers followed Liam everywhere he went. Rumors about secret reports, about the cub that could break containment, about a human who made monsters kneel. He tried to ignore it. He focused on his studies, on training, on keeping Rook calm. But even Rook could sense the tension. His ears twitched at every echo in the hallways. His growl came quicker now, lower, as if he too knew they were being hunted by politics, by fear, and by something more personal. That something was Koresh. Koresh had been watching, planning, waiting for the right moment. He had lost his pride in front of everyone, and nothing stung a Kronar warrior worse than humiliation. His instructors told him to forget it, to move on. But Koresh didn't move on. He sharpened his anger like a blade. And finally, he found a way to use the academy itself against Liam. The next week, the students were summoned for a new exercise. The notice flashed across every screen. Survival simulation. Team trials. Every cadet would be tested in pairs, dropped into the academy's enclosed training zone, a hostile ecosystem used for combat drills. The goal was simple: survive until extraction. Liam read the details on his tablet. His assigned partner was Koresh. He didn't react. But Rook's fur bristled when he saw the alien standing across the hall, smirking. Koresh stepped close, voice low and full of venom. "Don't worry, human. I'll make sure your little pet doesn't get lost out there." Liam didn't rise to it. "You just worry about yourself." Koresh's grin widened. "Oh, I will." The drop zone was a manufactured wilderness, dense trees under an artificial sky, mist rising from alien soil. The air smelled metallic and sweet, a reminder that this was no real forest. The gate sealed behind them. Rook padded silently beside Liam, eyes scanning the shadows. Koresh walked a few meters ahead, carrying a plasma spear. For the first hour, they said nothing. Only the faint hum of distant machines broke the silence. Then Koresh stopped. "I think we're off the path," he said. Liam frowned. "We stay together." "The signal beacon activates in 4 hours," Koresh nodded, stepping behind him and pressed a command pad on his wrist. A sudden pulse of blue light flashed through the trees. Rook roared as an invisible field surrounded them. The Predator's collar blinked red. "The control signal. Koresh is doing. You activated his restraint field?" Liam shouted. Koresh smiled coldly. "Just testing your bond, human," Rook growled, claws digging into the ground as energy surged through his body. "He was in pain! Deactivate it!" Liam yelled. "Make him stop growling first," Koresh said. "If your connection is real, calm him now." The cub's roar tore through the forest. Birds scattered. Leaves shook loose from synthetic branches. Liam stepped closer, ignoring the hum of the field. "Rook, listen to me! Focus on my voice." "You're safe." But Rook's body convulsed, the energy too strong. His eyes glowed gold and then red. Koresh lifted his spear. "See? Instinct always wins!" He lunged, Liam blocked the strike with his arm, the plasma edge grazing his sleeve. He stumbled but didn't move away from Rook. Instead, he grabbed the collar with both hands. The energy burned his skin, but he twisted it free, sparks flying. The control device shattered. Rook collapsed, panting. Smoke rose from the collar. Koresh's face went pale. "You idiot, you'll kill yourself." Liam turned to him, voice low. "You wanted fear? You've got it." Rook rose again, silent, steady, his eyes returning to gold. He stepped between Liam and Koresh. His growl wasn't pain now. It was warning. Koresh raised his weapon. "Stand down, human!" Liam shook his head. "You made your test. Now deal with the result." The standoff ended only when the extraction alarm blared through the forest. Instructors arrived minutes later, drawn by the signal Koresh had triggered. When they found them, Koresh's weapon was on the ground, and Rook stood beside Liam, calm and alert. The human's arm was burned, but he was alive. Koresh tried to explain, twisting the story. "He attacked me. The beast lost control!" But the instructors had already seen the surveillance footage. Every word, every movement had been recorded. The head instructor turned to Koresh. "You violated Academy protocol and endangered another cadet. You're suspended from training." Koresh froze. "You can't." "We can," she said flatly. "Leave." Koresh's rage was silent but deadly. He looked at Liam one last time before storming off. Later, in the infirmary, Liam sat on the bed while a med drone treated his arm. Rook lay beside him, tail flicking slowly, watching every move. The instructor entered quietly. "You could have reported him before the mission." "Why didn't you?" Liam shrugged. "Because he didn't need punishment. He needed to see what fear really looks like." The instructor studied him for a moment. "And what does it look like?" Liam smiled faintly. "It's when someone realizes kindness is stronger than control." That night, the Academy was quiet again. But somewhere in the restricted archives, scientists reanalyzed the forest footage. They saw what everyone else missed. In the instant before the collar broke, the energy pulse had changed frequency, spontaneously, aligning with the human's heartbeat. The machine hadn't saved Rook. The human had. One of the technicians whispered, "That's not empathy. That's synchronization." And the head scientist replied, "Then we're not studying taming anymore. We're studying evolution." 3 days after the survival incident, the Academy stopped pretending everything was normal. Armed patrols began walking the halls. Drones floated above the training grounds. The students whispered, but none dared ask why. Everyone already knew. The Galactic Union had taken notice. It started with a fleet, 3 ships descending into orbit, all bearing the Union insignia. They weren't here for lectures or diplomacy. They were here for Rook. The broadcast was short and clinical. Subject, Death World Predator, designation Rook, custody transfer to Union Research Command. Human cadet to be quarantined for security review. When Liam heard the order, he laughed once. Quietly, bitterly. "They're not even hiding it now." Rook sensed the tension instantly. His ears flattened and a low growl filled the room. "They won't take you," Liam said softly. "Not while I'm breathing." Rook pressed his head against Liam's chest, the purr almost mournful. By evening, the Academy was locked down. Students were confined to quarters, and every corridor flickered with red security lights. Liam sat on his bunk, hands clenched, listening to the distant echo of boots. A voice came through his door speaker. "Cadet Hayes, open the door. You're to be escorted for medical evaluation." "Medical evaluation," he muttered. "Right." Rook was already crouched by the corner, fur bristling. Liam reached down, resting a hand on his neck. "Not yet, buddy. We wait." The door hissed open before he finished. 2 Union officers stepped inside, armored, emotionless. One raised a scanner. "Subject contained?" "Not yet," the other said. "Tranquilizer ready." Liam didn't move. His voice came calm, cold. "You might want to lower that." The officer ignored him and fired. Rook leapt first. The dart never reached its target. The cub's tail snapped through the air like a whip, striking the projectile mid-flight. It shattered harmlessly against the wall. The officers stumbled back, weapons rising, too slow. Rook slammed into one, sending him flying into the corridor wall. The other barely had time to shout before the cub's claws pinned him to the ground. Liam stood still through the chaos, expression unreadable. "Told you!" He stepped past them, Rook close behind. Alarms began to wail, echoing across the academy. Outside, chaos spread fast. Students peeked from doorways, seeing the human and his death-world pet walking down the corridor like shadows moving through flame. "Is he escaping?" Someone whispered. "No," said another. "He's protecting it." Word traveled faster than gunfire. Some cheered him in silence. Others hid, terrified that siding with a human might mean execution. By the time Liam reached the outer platform, a squad of Union soldiers was already waiting. Their commander, a tall insectoid with chrome armor, stepped forward. "Human!" it hissed through its translator. "Stand down! The creature belongs to the Union now." Liam's jaw tightened. "It doesn't belong to anyone. Defiance will be treated as treason." "Then write it down," Liam said. The commander raised a clawed hand. "Fire!" Rook's roar drowned the sound of blasters. The cub moved like lightning, a blur of claws and muscle, disarming 3 soldiers before the first energy bolt hit the ground. Liam rolled behind a support beam, grabbing a fallen sidearm. He didn't aim to kill, just to make them stop shooting. His shot sparked against armor plates, forcing them to scatter. The commander barked orders in its native tongue. "Stun them both!" Before they could, the floor trembled. The vibration came not from weapons, but from the predator cub. Rook's eyes glowed gold again, burning brighter with every pulse. The soldiers' visors flickered. Their weapons jammed. The magnetic fields bent. "EMP surge!" One yelled. "No!" whispered another, terrified. "That's not a surge. It's alive!" Liam grabbed Rook's fur, steadying himself against the wave of energy. "Rook, stop! Focus!" The cub blinked, the light dimming. The soldiers, stunned but breathing, fell back. The commander hissed. "You think this ends here, human? You've just declared war." Liam met its gaze. "No, you did that when you called friendship a weapon. They fled before reinforcements arrived." The academy alarms echoed through the night, lights flashing like a dying star. Behind them, students whispered stories that would become legends by morning. The human fought the Union. The predator obeyed only him. They escaped into the wastelands. By dawn, the Union had sealed the academy. No signals left the planet. Officially, both the human and the beast were missing in action. Unofficially, half the cadets began wearing small pins. A simple design, a golden paw and a human hand, side by side. Far from the academy, under a ruined satellite dish, Liam built a small fire. Rook lay beside it, tail flicking lazily, his golden eyes watching the stars. "They'll hunt us now," Liam said. Rook gave a low rumble, something between a growl and a laugh. Liam chuckled. "Yeah, I know. You're not afraid." I just wish I could say the same. He looked up at the endless night, filled with ships he could no longer trust. "You realize we just made enemies with half the galaxy, right?" Rook pressed his head against Liam's shoulder, purring softly. "Yeah," Liam murmured, voice tired but warm. "I guess that makes us a team." Deep in the Union's flagship orbiting above, the commander stood before a holographic council. "The subject escaped," it said. A dozen alien faces glared through the blue light. One spoke, an old reptilian scholar from the core worlds. "You lost a predator cub and a single human. Do you understand what that means?" The commander stiffened. "We'll find them." The elder's eyes narrowed. "No, you'll contain the story. Because if the galaxy learns a human can make a death-world predator purr, they won't fear humans. They'll start believing in them." The connection cut. The commander stood alone in silence, thinking of that human's calm eyes and the creature that roared like thunder. It knew. Deep down, this wasn't over. End of Part 5. The ruins of the outer colony slept under a dim, broken sky. Metal bones of old towers jutted from the dust, and a cold wind whispered through their cracks. That's where Liam and Rook had made their refuge, half shelter, half exile. For 2 weeks, they lived between shadows. They hunted for scraps, repaired an old transmitter, and watched the stars like fugitives who refused to admit they were heroes. The galaxy thought them dead. The Union hoped they were, but hope has never been good at staying buried. One night, while Rook slept near the embers of a dying fire, Liam caught the faint sound of engines. Low at first, then rising, ships breaking through the clouds. He didn't even look surprised. "They found us," he whispered. Rook opened one golden eye. His tail flicked once. The message was clear. "Then we fight," Liam smiled faintly. "Yeah, together." The first searchlights cut across the ruins. Soldiers poured down from transport dropships, moving in perfect formation. Above them hovered a Union dreadnought, its hull covered in glowing blue sigils, the same ship that had taken command from orbit weeks ago. A voice thundered through a loudspeaker. "Human subject Liam Hayes, you are surrounded. Surrender the Predator unit and you will not be harmed." Liam laughed under his breath. "That's a new lie. They didn't wait." Rook's roar tore through the night, a sound that didn't echo so much as vibrate through the ground itself. Birds scattered. Dust cascaded from the towers. The soldiers froze, their weapons shaking in their claws. Then everything went silent for a single heartbeat, and then the ground exploded. Rook leapt through smoke and fire, moving like a living storm. Energy bolts missed him by inches. The air shimmered with his speed. Liam ran beside him, using cover, firing at weapon drones to buy them both seconds. One soldier shouted, "Contain it! Contain!" before Rook slammed him into a wall, not killing, just disarming, a deliberate show of restraint. Even fury obeyed the human's voice. "Back, Rook," Liam called. "Keep them alive." The cub hesitated, then pulled away, growling but obeying. The soldiers saw it and froze again. Not in terror, but in disbelief. The Death World Predator was following orders. From the flagship above, the Union commander watched through tactical feeds. "Impossible," it whispered. "No creature disobeys its nature," an officer trembled. "Should we deploy the orbital weapon?" The commander hesitated. It wasn't fear of the human that stopped it. It was fear of what would happen if they won, because every screen now showed the same thing. A human risking his life for a monster, and the monster protecting him in return. That image would spread faster than any victory. Down below, the battle dragged on. Rook's fur was scorched in places. Liam's arm bled from a plasma graze. They were outnumbered, surrounded, and still standing. Then, the sky lit up. Hundreds of small drones descended, shining spheres, humming with surveillance energy. They weren't there to fight. They were there to broadcast. The Union wanted to record the capture live across the Academy network, to prove the human threat was contained. Liam looked up, realizing what was happening. He exhaled slowly. "Then let's give them a show." He stepped into the open. The spotlights locked on him immediately. "This is what you wanted, right?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the ruins. "Proof that humans are dangerous?" The commander's voice boomed from the speakers. "You are a threat to the Union." Liam shook his head. "No. You're afraid of something you'll never understand." He pointed to Rook. "This isn't control. This isn't domination. This is trust. Something no machine, no order, no law can ever build." Rook stepped beside him, towering, glowing faintly gold again. Liam looked straight into the nearest camera drone. "You call us dangerous because we care. You call us unpredictable because we refuse to give up on life, even the kind that once tried to kill us." He put a hand on Rook's neck. "So go ahead, show them. Show the galaxy what happens when a human and a predator stop being enemies." Rook's roar answered. It wasn't just sound, it was power. The shockwave shattered every remaining drone, cracked the sky's false dome, and rippled through the clouds. For the first time, real stars broke through the artificial atmosphere. Every receiver in orbit went silent for one long, trembling moment. Then millions of alien homes replayed the last transmission, a small human standing before a beast of legend, both defying an empire, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt something new: respect. Hours later, the Union ships withdrew. No one issued the order aloud. It simply happened. Soldiers refused to fire. Engineers refused to target the ruins. Some said it was fear. Others said it was recognition. Liam and Rook watched the ships vanish into the horizon. "Guess they finally listened," Liam murmured. Rook nudged him gently, purring low. The sound was softer than before, peaceful. "Yeah," Liam said, sitting down beside him. "You and me, buddy, against the stars." The cub curled beside him, tail over its paws. Together, they watched the night sky clear, an open canvas no longer filled with warships, but with promise. Months later, stories began to spread. In the taverns of the outer colonies, soldiers whispered about the human and the beast that roared for peace. Some said they were still alive, wandering from world to world. Others claimed their bond had become legend, a symbol of what humanity really was, terrifying not for their strength, but for their hearts. At the old academy, a memorial was placed near the training grounds. No statue, no inscription, just a small metal plate with two simple engravings, a human hand. A predator's paw, beneath them, a single line. He didn't tame the beast. He reminded it there was no need to be one. And somewhere, far from the worlds that once feared them, a quiet roar rolled across a valley under alien moons. Not of anger, not of pain, but of peace.